I could, at that point, I could take another loan out on my 401k. I'm gonna go ahead and start playing while I'm talking about this. I could take another loan out on my 401k specifically for real estate. Taking a now we've come to this, right? I'm just gonna go ahead and say this up front. Let me go ahead and make a note of when I actually start playing again. Started playing again at 1:30. We'll call it. So a loan on a 401k is not and should not be ideal. If you take a loan on your 401k, the important thing to do is to maintain your contributions to that 401k, no matter what. Now, taking a loan on a 401k has some benefits, and granted, this is going to be... Why is... Oh. Okay. Taking a loan on a 401... Why did the music stop? Taking a loan on a 401k does have some benefits. One, it's better than taking a withdrawal from your 401k. If you take a withdrawal from your 401k, that has many downsides. And this is going to be very much more geared towards the American tax system. One, it is income, so it is now subject to income tax. And two, it's not, you get withdrawal penalties for withdrawing it early. And the biggest thing is it's no longer in a 401k, and so it's no longer growing. That's going to be the biggest penalty. Oh, hi. I was wondering if I'd actually see a part like this.
Mama? Mama! You.
No?
You're the only one left. Maybe then I can finally rest. Mama. What's wrong? Wait,
No.
you're not my mama.
I am not.
It's you.
Sorry, Angela. I think you were right. What we're looking for, it's not here. Not anymore.
Thank you for helping me earlier. But I wish you hadn't. Mama said it.
That's an entirely fair thing to say,
I
honestly.
deserve what happened.
No, you did not.
Angela, that is not true.
Don't pity me. I'm not worth it. Or maybe you think you can save me?
I'm kind of hopeful for it.
Will you love me? Care for me? Heal all my pain? That's what I thought. James. Give me back the knife.
No, I won't.
Saving it for yourself. Have it your way. It doesn't change anything.
It's hot as hell in here.
You see it too? For me, it's always like this.
Yeah, that is Angela's other world that we went into. And that is the last we'll see of Angela, but her other world is like that because she has always been in a living hell. She killed her father. Most likely in self-defense of some sort. But she is here because she is going through the stages of knowing that she killed her father. Silent Hill doesn't call to everybody. It calls to those who have kind of extreme trauma and who are psychically susceptible to it on some degree. I don't think any of us blame her for killing her father, but she is not coming back. Mostly because she doesn't want to. She has kind of accepted what is happening to her, and she is willing to die. 312 to be cleared out. No one's returning. Wow. Anyway, so taking a loan on a 401k generally, we actually have combat now. Generally the best of several not ideal options. You don't want to. If you have other options, you don't want to. I can't advise it as something to do lightly. In fact, the loan I took out was not done lightly. It was done pretty much as a response to, or in anticipation of kind of not knowing what the very near economic future, uncertainty, not uncertainty about my job due to performance, but uncertainty, oh no, I know this window. Uncertainty due to who knows what the fuck is going to happen, and then I had those fears borne out Tuesday. I wanted to pay off a bunch of credit card debt that I've been carrying and put myself in a better position to pay off the rest. And I am there, and I am happy about it. There's still some debt that I need to pay off, and I will. But I took only enough to make paying off that debt more comfortable. I didn't take as much as I didn't take nearly as much as I could have. And I didn't want to take as much as I could have. I wanted to leave as much as I could in my 401k so that it can continue to grow. There are some benefit to taking a loan from your 401k under the assumption that you have explored other options and you continue your 401k contributions. What the fuck? Is that just a delayed... What? And the benefit to taking a loan on your 401k is you do pay interest. But you're paying that interest to yourself. You're not paying that interest to anybody else. If you take a loan on your 401k at, let's say, 10% interest, your payments back to that 401k, include the principal and the interest, but that interest goes right back into your 401k. So you're taking a loan from yourself and paying yourself 10% interest. This is preferable. Oh yeah, I think I know what's about to happen. This is preferable to taking a loan and paying a creditor significantly more interest, because you are benefiting from the interest, right? Nobody else is. And that interest generally, not always, depends on the 401k, generally accounts for the growth that money would have made if you had left it in the 401k. So if your 401k generates 10% interest, a 10% return every year, annually, and you take out a loan on your 401k, and you get 10% interest on your 401k annually, you're still getting the growth that you would have if you left that money alone, as long as you continue the contributions at the level or close to the level that you were before. The difference in the loan that I took over 45 months, I think it was my loan period, or the loan period I chose. The difference in at retirement age, not at the extent of the loan, but at retirement age, the difference in value in my 401k, if I had not continued those contributions, I would have lost $250,000 if I did not continue those contributions. If I continue those contributions, I gain about $10,000. Okay. Hey, why do you keep coming back to life?
Leave us both the hell alone.
So the important thing is to keep your contributions going. She's dead again. I can't even be upset by that because it keeps happening. I don't know why James is. Granted, if you have other options besides a loan off your 401k, you should probably take them. But a 401k loan is not catastrophic if you're responsible with it. There is one big risk.
I know why I needed you. But it's all over now. I don't need you anymore. I'm ready.
Okay, can we actually hurt them now? Or is this another time thing? They're gonna be much faster with their spears. The one benefit to a 401, or the one risk to a 401k, is if you happen to lose your job, and this is something that I was very much aware of and keeping in consideration. If you lose your job, that tax year, the balance on your 401k comes due, or you are taxed on it as income and including an early withdrawal penalty. Or you can roll it over. You have the option to roll it over. If you can roll it over and keep your contributions going, even without employment, and some 401ks do allow that, then it will not be. And you will not be taxed, and you will not take penalties on it. But it is something to keep in mind if you end up taking a loan, that at some point, if you lose your job, that money may be due, or the balance may be due, or you may still need to pay interest and penalties, or taxes and penalties. Now, for personal, and we're going to get back to why I brought this up. For personal loans, you generally have to pay it back within 5 years. You generally have to pay it back within 60 months, and you have to make at least quarterly payments. There is an exception with the US government, and you can take a loan on your 401k, and you can pay it back over 30 years if you're taking the loan in order to buy real estate. If you're using it as part of buying a condo or buying a house, I think you can even take more than you would if it was a personal loan, and you have a longer period to pay it off. And that is something that, getting back to my original point, now that I've expounded about all this, that is something that I may consider when you can only, depending on your 401k, you're only allowed to have a certain amount of loans out at a time on your 401k, and generally it's one. So once I pay back the current loan that I have, I may consider taking out a loan to pay over years, depending on my financial situation at the time, for a down payment on property. It's not a guaranteed thing. I don't know that I'm going to be super happy about it. But it is nice that that is an option, and the government is more forgiving if you use it, because a lot of people get a lot of money in their 401k if they make contributions, and real estate is another way to have growth in your money. So I kind of want to have like a condo or something that I can at least show my grandmother before she passes away. That would be nice. And we get the achievement, obsolete, destroy what you don't need. The pyramid heads represent, as I said, the pyramid heads represent James's need to punish himself for what he did. And now that they have recognized that he no longer needs that punishment, they have killed themselves. Now, this is the choice that I wanted to look up. One of these gives points to the generally good ending. One of them gives points to the generally bad ending. Let's see. Which one was which? And this turned from a horror game into the horrors of finances, right? Scariest thing possible. I need a browser window, please. Thank you. This is what happens when you get me in a talking melancholic mood. Okay, let's see here. That's what I'm looking for. Let's see. So we're at the lake view of the world. Okay. Initially, just looking at the Pyramid Head fight to see if there's anything I could have done better. Pyramid Heads also seem to share the same health pool. That's kind of what I guessed. So not figure you have to focus on one. Big progress and the room starts to crumble. Winning here gives you, okay, yeah. Take your time, yeah, it's basically just fight them out. Okay, so you do need to collect both. Your choice of during the Pyramid's Heads is another quiet event that can influence your ending. Pay attention to which egg you put it in. Pay attention to which egg you put in which door. If you leave via the Scarlet Egg, you get some progress towards Maria. If you leave through the Rust Egg, you get progress towards the other good, the better endings, the good endings, quote unquote. So I do need both. Or at least I need to pick up both. I mean, I guess it does make sense. It does make sense that the Scarlet Egg represents Maria, since Scarlet is the color of passion. We're gonna lead through the rust-colored egg's door. Again, they go to the same place. This is a quiet choice that gives you points to whether James has moved on or not. And I believe if we're following the original game closely enough, we will get a very big hint
What do you want, James?
whether or not that's true very soon.
Flowers? I don't want any damn flowers. Just go home already. Look at me. I'm disgusting. Between the disease and the drugs, I look like a monster. Well, what are you looking at? Get the hell out of here. Leave me alone already. I'm no use to anyone. I'll be dead soon anyway. It'd be easier if they just killed me. But I guess the hospital's making a nice profit off of me.
So,
Why are you still here? I told you to go. Are you deaf? Don't come back. James. Wait. Please. Don't go. Don't leave me alone. I didn't mean what I said. Please. Tell me I'll be okay. Tell me I'm not gonna die. Help me.
so some very important things in that scene. Neither one of them. This is very much a. I can't go down there. This is very much a... Neither side is completely wrong or completely right. Mary wasn't a help... Wow, I'm getting a lot of bullets. Mary was not kind of a damsel in distress. Like, she wasn't just flat out good and James was an evil monster. She abused... Her illness caused her to lash out and be somewhat verbally and emotionally abusive to James. At the same time, she's sick and dying. It's kind of understandable. James, in return, does love Mary. And it can kind of been seen from a point of view that smothering was a gentle death. It could have been seen as a mercy killing, a merciful death, as opposed to letting her linger and suffer. Again, that is not that James is entirely good. James also did it out of frustration and anger from his abuse and having an invalid wife that he was tired of taking care of. Neither side is good or evil here. They're just people. And this whole thing is about James
Mary?
trying to come to terms with that.
I have missed you so much.
I've missed you too. We can finally be together. Forever.
No.
James. Honey. What's wrong?
I'm sorry. I know you tried,
James, please.
but she's gone. I know that now,
Stop it.
and I can't just keep pretending.
Shut up!
That is not
What do
Mary.
you want? Do you even know anymore? I'm yours. I'm here for you. So what if I'm not her?
This is the final temptation.
I can give you what she never could. I can be better than her. What else do you want me to be? What else can I be?
I am so sorry, Maria. I really am. But this has to stop.
This is the big hint that we
Time to let it go.
are going to one of the good endings. As I believe so.
No.
What?
I won't let you do this to me. I won't let you go. I can't!
Alright. This is our final boss, and I don't know a whole lot about it. There is a lot of symbology here. Again, we have Maria. The symbology of Maria being trapped in bed, in a cage. A lot like the Flesh Lips. Butterflies are generally and always have been associated with Maria. Butterflies in many cultures are a symbol of rebirth. You may have noticed Maria had a butterfly tattoo on her breast. I believe in the original game, the tattoo was on her thigh. Butterflies are generally a symbol of rebirth because they are caterpillars, they go into a cocoon, and they are reborn. In this case... Oops. I kind of got a little bit too close if I could really do a heal. In this case, we are being attacked by black butterflies constantly, which are representation of death. This is James's final temptation. Again, the fact that he turned her away. This boss fight can turn out in different ways depending on, or at least in the original, can turn out in different ways based on the ending that you're going for. If we had accepted Maria, if we'd been on an ending where we were going to accept Maria, I believe she would have died again. And we would have fought a different final boss. And then at that point, if we'd gone for like the Maria ending, again she would have come to life. James would have stopped questioning it and accepted her. And we would have been headed for one of the bad endings. We are headed, as far as I know, based on my knowledge of the original game, we are headed for a good ending. I suspect we're headed for the best ending, based on James's dialogue. I don't know that for a fact yet. Based on James's dialogue, I do expect that he has finally come to terms with the need to let his wife go, and he is ready to live without her. Which means that we will actually leave Silent Hill, and that is the best ending possible. God, it is actually kind of difficult to heal in this fight. All right, phase 2. Again, watch the ceiling here. Just like the Flesh Lips fight. Watch the sparks this time. I actually lost track of that. Also, you know, butterflies are flaming. Butterflies are angry. We're just kind of picking our shots when we can. This part of the fight seems a little bit more manageable. The scale of her attacks seems less, as long as you're paying attention. Also, you know, this is our final fight. Ow, shit. We are less concerned with... That was bad. We are less concerned with conserving our ammo at this point. Use it or lose it. Unless it probably carries over to New Game Plus. But you get the idea. Alright, at least we can see you again. You do look like you have an annoying attack. Ow. Keep ourselves topped up. We also got some frame rates. Okay, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's bad. Be nice if the frame rates cooperated. Actually, where'd she go? Is she teleporting? No, there she is. Okay, she's teleporting. I'm gonna dodge right into those butterflies. Things are starting to fall apart. That's generally been a good indication that we're doing some damage. I believe the name of this boss, surprisingly, is the Succubus, which does match what we would expect from Maria, even if it's not exactly how we would expect her to look. Ow. Oh, shit. Getting it close is kind of a risk. But the shotgun might be worth it. Kind of get an idea of where she might form based on which way the butterflies are going. God damn it. Got her. I think that's it. And again, she has now been...
James.
She's now symbolically dying in her deathbed.
James.
Just like the hospital.
James.
Mary.
Hey, handsome.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. I told you. I wanted the pain to end.
Yeah. You did.
Mhm.
But that's not why I did it. The truth is, I hated you. I wanted you out of the way. I wanted my life back.
If that's true, then why do you look so sad?
Mary.
It's okay, James. Here.
What is this?
It's what you've been looking for.
Really, game? Frame rates now?
In my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill. You promised you'd take me there again someday. But you never did. Well, I'm alone there now. In our special place. Waiting for you to come and see me. But you never do. So, I wait, wrapped in my cocoon of pain and loneliness. I know I've done a terrible thing to you. I wish I could change that, but I can't. I feel so pathetic and ugly laying here. Every day I stare up at the cracks in the ceiling, and all I can think about is how unfair it is. The doctor came today. Told me I could go home for a short stay. It's not that I'm getting better. It's just that this could be my last chance. Even so, I'm glad to be coming home. I missed you so much. But I'm afraid, James. I'm afraid you don't really want me to come home. Every time you come to see me, I can tell how hard it is on you. I don't know if you hate me or pity me. Maybe I just disgust you. I'm so sorry. When I first learned I was gonna die, I couldn't accept it. I was so angry. I struck out at everyone I loved. Especially you. And that's why I understand if you hate me. But I want you to know, I will always love you. Even though our life together had to end like this, I still wouldn't trade it for the world. Well, this letter has gone on too long, so I'll say goodbye. I told the nurse to give this to you after I'm gone. Which means that as you're reading this, I'm already dead. But that's okay. I'm not afraid of it anymore. I just hope the pain will end soon, so that you remember me for who I was, and not what the disease made me. I want you to go on. I want you to live. For yourself and for others. Like you did for me. James, you made me happy.
And we get the achievement, Making Peace. We reached the leave ending. That is the best. That is the best ending. Out of the 3 people that Silent Hill called to, James is the only one who is able to make peace with himself. I'm gonna turn this. Oh, no, I can't. I can do this. Oh, this is gonna be awkward. Never mind. Oh, I skipped the ending. God damn it. I skipped the credits. I didn't mean to. I'll see if I can replay those in a minute. Out of the 3 people that Silent Hill called to, James is the only one that ended up being able to make peace with himself and what he did, and most importantly, recognize why he did it. He didn't do it out of mercy. He wasn't doing it as a hero. He's never been a heroic character. He did it because, yes, he hated his wife. He hated what she'd become at the same time, and he wanted his life back. And that is honestly, what we're seeing here is kind of a fairly decent representation of how hard it is to take care of someone with a disability or a terminal illness when you're providing hospice care. And my grandmother kind of went through this. Your life is not really yours. And it's understandable to have these frustrations, for the healthy person, to have these frustrations of the fact that they are taking care of an invalid. They can't do the things they used to. There's no guarantee that the invalid is going to get better. There's no expectation that their life is going to return to normal. And it's also, the game is also presenting it as understandable for the invalid to know and be frustrated by the fact that their body is failing them. They are dying, and not only are they dying, they are now a burden. They are not an independent adult anymore. They are now a burden on their loved ones, and that is something that they also have to come to terms to understand. And the big lesson here is that James invented a reality in which his wife died of her illness and he was not culpable. And because of this, he was always kind of trapped in that time period. He couldn't move on with his life because he, deep down, he knew he did it and why he did it, and he could not forgive himself for it. And eventually Silent Hill called to him and basically, you know, is forcing him to go through this because he is trying to punish himself. You know, everything in this game is trying to punish him, particularly the Pyramid Heads, but they all represent aspects of things that he feels he should be punished for. And he wants to be punished so that he can move on. The symbology of everything represents his sexual frustration, his with the nurses and particularly the nurses, some of the other monsters, but particularly the nurses, they represent his sexual frustrations. He doesn't have he doesn't have a sex life anymore, right? His wife, the flesh lips, some of the other monsters represent his resentment towards his wife's attitude towards him. Like, not only is he taking care of this person that he really does not expect to get better, and he is frustrated with, she's also berating him. She is berating him. She is belittling him. He's having to deal with her mood swings, and you know, when he's honestly, as much as he is frustrated by it, he honestly is trying to do his best, and he is getting berated for it. That's also represented here, his frustrations. And the Pyramid Head in this game, and none of his contractually obligated appearances after this game, Pyramid Head represents James's feelings that because he did what he did, and he did it out of hatred, you know, yes, he didn't do it out of love for his wife. He gave her a mercy kill, but he did it because he hated her and what she had become and what she was doing to him, and she had taken his life away. He wanted to be punished, and that is why you cannot kill Pyramid Head. You can only run from it. Pyramid Head is immortal. It is unrelenting, is pursuing him because James wants it to happen. James wants to be punished. At the same time, James's survival instinct is making him try to survive, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have a game. So these themes, yes, this is a horror game. These themes, these conflicting themes, these recurring themes are kind of what made Silent Hill 2 stand out. It wasn't just the atmosphere, it wasn't just the gameplay. You're dealing with heavy themes and lots of symbolism that you didn't get in horror games at the time, right? Like, what was the other horror game at the time? Like Clock Tower, Resident Evil, Alone in the Dark. You didn't have these sorts of things, and this is why people really look back and remember Silent Hill 2 very fondly and consider it a very good game, because it's not about an unknowable horror. It's not about, you know, campy 80s 90s corporations gone overboard. It's not about just jump scares for the sake of jump scares. The horror in here in this game has been you the whole time. And this is you going through and discovering that fact and coming to terms with that fact that you, James Sunderland, the player, but James Sunderland, the character, is the horror in this horror game. Everything that happens here is because, well, okay, everything that happens to him is because of him. And yeah, the other Silent Hills are not nearly as mentally reflective at all. The first one was dealing with a cult, and one of the things that was nice about Silent Hill 2 is they kind of dropped that. In fact, the cult doesn't play any role here. The cult tends to play somewhat either of a background role, a supporting role, or a main role in pretty much the other Silent Hill games. Silent Hill 3, I believe, is kind of the sequel to Silent Hill 1. The cult, Silent Hill Homecoming is basically dealing with horror themes because the cult raised a serial killer. But yeah, none of the others have this kind of psychology. None of them. There is no... you see flashes of it from time to time. You see flashes of it, but nothing to this degree. When you see flashes of it, it's generally you're looking at other people. You're not looking at the player character. Whereas in Silent Hill, this is all about James. Everything that happens to James is Silent Hill testing James. And for no other reason than James himself is testing himself. James is trapped in this limbo. As I said, James is living in this past and he won't move on with his life. And Silent Hill reflects that. And Silent Hill makes him confront that. And Silent Hill makes him come to terms with that in order to leave Silent Hill and symbolically leave the limbo that he's been trapped in and move on with his life. You don't see that with the other two people. You don't see that with Angela, and you don't see that with Eddie. Angela is heavily implied to die, but that's what she wants. She doesn't think she can move. She's not looking to move on with her life. She wants to die. She accepts her death. She goes to die. Eddie doesn't really come to terms with the fact that, yes, bullying turned Eddie into a psychopath, but he also generally just starts to relish in being a psychopath and doesn't see anything wrong with it, and James puts him down. So James is the only one to come to Silent Hill to leave that was called by Silent Hill to leave Silent Hill. Laura is just in Silent Hill. Laura is here. Laura is here because she thinks Mary is here, and that is the only reason Laura is here. Because the letter that Laura got, that Mary sent her, Mary told her that she was going to a better place. She was going to a more peaceful place. Laura goes, oh, well, she always liked Silent Hill. Clearly, she's in Silent Hill, right? She just goes there. Laura is entirely innocent. She's just running around the town. She's drawing pictures. Whether or not she actually sees the fog world is debatable, but she is in no danger. She is the only character in the game that is completely innocent and unbothered. There is nothing that Silent Hill is doing to test her. She may have felt compelled to come. There is, as part of James's test, there's a good argument to think that because of her relation to Mary, and her friendship with Mary, and the fact that Maria has memories of Mary and memories of Laura, and has Mary's concern about Laura. There is a good argument that Silent Hill wanted her here, compelled her to come, but not to test her. She's here as a test for James, and that's it. Silent Hill is not going to hurt this child, because Silent Hill, A, the child has nothing for Silent Hill to hurt her with, and B, if she is here to test James and James's own willingness to also, move to take this child who has, it's implied, has no family. She was in the hospital with Mary because she was also sick. She doesn't have, I think one of the stories or something basically just expressly says Laura doesn't have any family at this point. And that's why she was so close to Mary. But she is here as part of James's test. Hey, here is this child who has a hatred of you based on her understanding of how you treated Mary. How are you going to deal with this? But other than that, she is completely safe in that town. She doesn't understand that there are monsters there. She might think it's creepy and abandoned as she sees the fog world. She may not understand what's going on there, but she has no clue there are monsters there killing anybody because she doesn't see them. None of them bother her. Anyway, as I said, that is the best ending you can get. Okay, we can't play the credits again. Let's take a look. I'm gonna try not to skip them this time, at least most of them. Depends on how long they go. But yeah, this is the only one that really, and again, and this is the only one that's really like that. Actually, I'm gonna go back to the main menu. I'm going to skip so I can go back to the main menu because I do want to turn the sound down, and this is my only option. I want to talk about this more as we play the credits. So let's just turn the music volume down a bit so I don't have to scream over it. And then we'll play the credits because it's good music. Silent Hill 2 was very unique, and I think they kind of didn't fully understand what they had created, and that's why the other Silent Hills weren't quite as good. Now, another reason why the Silent Hills weren't quite as good is because of Konami. Konami basically stopped after Silent Hill 2, maybe Silent Hill 3. Konami just didn't really understand what the appeal of Silent Hill was, and pulled funding. It's actually kind of really surprising that Bloober Team was able to do a remake, and for the most part I think Bloober Team did a good job. They really kept the same themes of Silent Hill 2. You could tell that they didn't change things, they expanded them. Now, they might have expanded them a tad much. It's a much longer game. But they understood the core mechanic and the core messages, and they were intent on reinforcing them, and that they did well. Part of the reason why the other Silent Hills may not have been as mentally reflective as Silent Hill 2 may have to deal somewhat with the audience. So Silent Hill 1, to a degree, I would say not to the same degree as Silent Hill 2. The horror in Silent Hill 1 and 2 is much more subtle. It's much more tailored to the Japanese audience's ideas at the time. Ideas of horror. Very psychological, very based in setting and atmosphere, right? They specifically used the draw distance limitations of the PlayStation 1 to create the fog atmosphere in the first place. Very much, you don't know what's going on, and you won't know what's going on. You can start to piece the clues together as you go through the story, but it's very subtle storytelling, and you kind of have to really dig into it to really understand what's going on. Contrast that at the time to the games that came out tailored to the American audiences. Resident Evil, over the top, very campy, very goofy, not subtle storytelling in the slightest. Especially the first one. It's run and gun. The story, you get the story as you go. You're not really there aren't really elements that you are interpreting. There's not really symbolism. There are zombies and you have bullets, and you put those two things together, and eventually, if you keep doing that enough, you reach the end of the game. And Resident Evil actually may not even really been intended purely as a horror experience. The first game, the original first game, the one that came out on PlayStation 1, is at least the opening and the dialogue, it's so campy and goofy, mostly because it's action tropes more than it's horror tropes. Like, the zombies are there so there can be action. Like, these are action heroes. That's why Chris looks buff as hell. That's why Jill is the capable female member of the team that's got her tits hanging out. That's why Wesker is the cool dude with the glasses, and Barry's the gun nut who's big and strong, right? Like, lot of action tropes, not really horror tropes. And it kind of took off as a horror series from there. But I kind of have my doubts if it was actually kind of intended to be a horror game in the same vein as Alone in the Dark or Clock Tower or Silent Hill. I think Silent Hill 1 came out before Resident Evil. At least they came around the same time, most likely. And then, but because Resident Evil had those action tropes and it was built to appeal to an American audience, the horror and Resident Evil, while fun, is not nearly as psychological and not really kind of survival. I hate to say that because and later Resident Evil they do become more survival horror, but in Resident Evil, I mean, compared to kind of the resources that I gathered in Silent Hill, right? In Silent Hill, I had a stick with nails in it as my melee weapon, and a handgun. Eventually got a handgun. For a while, it was melee only. Whereas in Resident Evil, you have a knife, you have a pistol. I was getting bullets in Silent Hill in 1s and 2s. I think in my handgun, I finished with maybe like 30 bullets going into that final fight. I'd have to go look. 30 bullets, 30 shotgun shells, 30 rifle rounds. Kind of sounds about right from my memory, just thinking about it. And that's going into the final fight. I had a ton of healing items, for sure. But you go into the final fight of a Resident Evil game, an average Resident Evil game. What do you got? You got a gun, you got a shotgun, you got a magnum, you've got grenades, you got flamethrowers, you got grenade launchers, you got a fucking rocket, and you always finish it with a fucking rocket, right? And again, that's going back to those action game tropes, those action movie tropes. You'll have hundreds of bullets for your gun and dozens of shotgun shells and all sorts of ammo and things. And really, when you have all these resources, the final boss is usually kind of a letdown. The final boss here, the succubus, I think, is the final boss. The name of the final boss. I'm gonna go ahead and open up. I'm gonna go open up this walkthrough because it's probably gonna talk about the endings as well. Let's see. Close some of these pop-ups. Close them. Let's see. I think the final boss is the succubus, no matter what. Let's see. What does IGN say? Okay. Okay, so here it's just her. Not succubus. The boss is just her. One of the things that we did that I did not recognize I was doing it because I wanted to hear the rest of the conversation. The hallway marks the last big decision. You can influence what ending you get. By the time you get to that hallway and you're listening to that conversation with Mary, your ending is probably set in stone. But if you stick around and you listen to the entire conversation, you're more likely to be getting one of the good endings. That's where those points count. If you just rush through it and you don't listen to the entire conversation, and I assume you leave the hallway before she starts weeping and telling you she's sorry, I would assume that you're headed for the bad ending, or it's giving you points to the bad ending. Let's see here. Yeah. In the first phase, her will harass you with a cloud of bugs. She'll try to ensnare your tendrils. The tell for the tendril whip is that she's bothering to come to you at all. Then there is the Mandarin phase, which that one was pretty easy. And then basically you go back to the first phase, and it's the first forms of attack. She's just tougher. Let's see here. If you are interested in why you get the ending you did, we'll discuss it here. All right, the endings guide. All right, the first time you clear Silent Hill 2, you'll receive one of 3 endings, but you may not understand exactly why you got what you did. Naturally, this involves venturing into spoiler territory. It's a good idea to avoid reading this section until you clear the game on your own, as the events that influence your ending play out of the entirety of Silent Hill 2 Remake. For returning players, these were revised and extended endings of the same 3 endings that were found in the original 2001 version of Silent Hill 2. You know what's about to happen and probably understand at least some of why, but you haven't seen like them before. The ending you receive is determined by a series of decisions that you made throughout the game, a few of which were obvious at the time. None of them seem to have anything to do with most of the stats that are tracked in your final results screen, such as the number of enemies you killed, your favorite weapon, or your difficulty settings. I didn't look at my stats screen, actually. Oops. I think I skipped past that. Is there a way to see that again? Probably not. I will probably need to like go back, get a screenshot, and put that at some point in this recording. Just a screenshot of what I got. That I know it was at least up for a couple of frames. Instead, the criteria that influence your ending are relatively subtle and often invisible. Your ending is broadly determined by how you've chosen to play James through his run through Silent Hill, which indicates what kind of person he actually turned out to be. If you got leave, you've been acting as if the one thing on James's mind was to have that last conversation with Mary. If he got distracted, it wasn't for long. James was here to be forgiven, even if he didn't know that at first. This is generally perceived as Silent Hill 2's good ending. Conversely, if you got Maria, James has turned out to be utterly selfish, and he was right about him. The town called them both for a reason. And if you got Inwater, your version of James had a death wish. His time in Silent Hill was driven by guilt and sorrow, and at the end, he can't imagine any way to go on. Now, Inwater and Leave are 2 forks of the same ending, and Maria is its own ending. So you can turn down Maria, but James can still be suicidal. Like, again, I'm crediting IGN here, just for clarity. Everything I'm reading here is from IGN's endings page on the Silent Hill 2 Remake wiki, on theirs. The specifics. From our experiments, many of the various factors that determine your ending are the same from those of the original version of Silent Hill 2. Which is not surprising. There are a couple of new events courtesy of Bloober Team that can influence your ending. Many of these have only been discovered through fans' attempts to data mine the PC version. We tested them all so that we could before we included them here. Now, some of these things I did because I suspected that the endings were similar to the first game, and that I would need to do similar actions because I didn't think that they would change them too much. If you want to get, and this is this first one here. Inspect Mary's letter and the photo of Mary in your inventory at least twice over the course of the game. And that is what I went out of my way to do. Do not leave them behind when you take the employee elevator in the hotel. That I did leave them behind because I thought I had to. When I looked into that afterwards, they do not significantly count to your weight limit. You can take them and the map with you. Do not inspect Angela's knife in your inventory. That I couldn't remember if I did. I can't remember if I did or not. Stay at or near full health at all times. Keep James in good shape, like he cares what happens to him. I think as I got more healing items, I did start to prioritize his health. Avoid fights whenever possible. Minimize the number of monsters you kill, knock them down. I did not do that. When you reach the final stanza in the coin cabinet puzzle in the Woodside Apartments, choose to blame the snake. I don't think I did that. I think I blamed the woman, which probably was a bad thing. Minimize the amount of time you spend with Maria. Do not double check on her in the hospital labyrinth. Do not worry about protecting her when she's in danger. Don't bring her with you to explore Nathan Avenue when you're Western Southville. So that I did go out of my way to not do. I did not spend time with Maria. I spent as little time with her as I got away with. In fact, I remember specifically in the labyrinth, I looked at her through the door, but I did not go any further because I did not want to trigger a second check on her. Use the rotten apple on the mirror in the Lakeview Hotel. Now that's interesting because I thought that's what the puzzle asked for. After you did, I expected to use the ripe apple at another puzzle. Let's see here. After you defeat the dual pyramid heads, leave via the door you unlocked with the rust-colored egg. In the long hallway, after your fight with the dual pyramid heads, listen to the entire conversation before leaving. Now, I definitely went out of my way to do the rust-colored egg. Wasn't sure about the long hallway. I didn't go out of my way to do the long hallway because I thought it was part of the good ending. I just wanted to hear the rest of the conversation. Leave is by far the easiest ending to get, as it basically requires you to play the game like you normally might. Stay healthy, explore everywhere, at all opportunities, be rightly suspicious as Maria. That's what I did. It also seems like your first run through the game might be heavily based towards leave right out of the gate, as anecdotally, it seems to be most players' first ending regardless of their choices. Interesting. If you want to get Maria, do not inspect Mary's letter, the photo of Mary, or Angela's knife. Spend at least 10 minutes near Maria when she's with you. Don't get too far away if you have a choice in the matter. Pretty sure I got pretty far away from her when we were going through the area right before the hotel. Do not allow Maria to take any damage from monsters in the Western Southville chase sequence or the hospital basement. Save her from the mannequin ambush at Jackson. I did save her from the mannequin ambush. She did take a lot of damage. Take Maria with you when you explore Nathan's Avenue before you go through Jackson. This allows for a number of additional interactions and reportedly lowers the points you've earned for leaving in water. Just make sure she never takes a hit. Interesting. I don't think I ever really explored Nathan Avenue with her. No, we did. We did look around. Okay, that's before the motel. Okay, we did look around. I did do that. Inspect every interactable object in the game in the room before you leave Heaven's Night. This includes the posters on the wall, the costume in the booth, the pole on stage, the bottle Maria poured from, and lost and found box in the wall. I didn't look at everything. I know for a fact I didn't look at the costume. I didn't look in the lost and found box. Visit Maria when she's resting in the hospital. Be sure to return to room C5 once you have the first patient's bracelet to trigger an option conversation. I did not do that. Visit Maria in her cell at the labyrinth at least twice. I did not do that. After you clear the labyrinth, revisit the Maria in the prison cell before you leave. I did not do that. Use the ripe apple in the mirror. I did not do that. After you defeat the dual pyramid heads, use the scarlet egg. I did not do that. After the fight with the dual pyramid heads in the finale, run down the long hallway and leave before Mary finishes speaking. Do not do that. I did not. Maria can be difficult to get unless you're trying to do so deliberately. You really have to work to spend as much time with her as possible, and the game as much tells you something's up with her. Don't be surprised if this takes you a couple of tries. If you enter the boss arena at the end of the game and Mary is sitting despondently on her bed, instead of gazing out the window, you're on track to get Maria. The final boss will explicitly be Mary rather than Maria dressed in Mary's clothes. If you're able to get this ending, you'll unlock the trophy achievement Vicious Circle. If you want to get in water, okay. So, if you want to get in water, you have to contemplate. James has to contemplate suicide, and the first part of that is inspect Angela's knife in your inventory at least twice. This appears to be a mandatory step for getting in water, as it was in the original Silent Hill 2. Do not inspect Mary's letter or the photo of Mary. Spend at least 10 minutes total at critical health. 50% visible blood. Do not hurry to heal James unless you're at immediate risk of death, and try to heal as little as possible when you do. Behave as if James does not care what happens to him. Kill at least 350 enemies. Stomp an enemy that's already dead at least 30 times. I assume that's cumulative, not the same one. Inspect the writing on the wall above the jukebox and Otherworld Neely's bar. We did do that. That was creepy. Minimize the amount of time you spend with Maria as above. Don't bring her with you, and don't worry about protecting her from monsters. Use the rotten apple. Kill the monsters in the Otherworld Hotel's employee section before they can die on their own. Okay, that's the basement. I didn't do that. It's the Mandarins in the basement. I think. After you defeat the dual pyramid heads, leave the door. You unlock with the rust-colored egg and listen to Maria's entire conversation. As you can see, there is not a lot of difference here between the leave ending and the in water ending. Not a huge amount of difference in play. I probably did not kill at least 350 enemies. I might have spent at least 10 minutes at critical health because of healing. I did minimize time with Maria. I did use the rotten apple. Yeah, it feels like I could have been pretty close to getting. I could have been pretty close to getting it the in water ending, and probably the things that didn't. Probably the main things that kept me from doing that. I did not inspect Angela's knife twice, and I did look at Mary's letter and the photo of Mary. That's probably the biggest thing that I did where I got the leave ending and not the in water ending. In water is a little easier to get than it used to be. Playing with the combat difficulty and hard gives you a lot more opportunities to get James soundly thrashed. Early reports from Data Miner suggest that leave and in water actually share multiple criteria. From our runs to the game, it seems like it's not difficult to get into position where the only difference between getting leave and in water was whether or not we'd ever inspected Angela's knife. There we go. If you get in water, you get the trophy achievement only way out. For achievement hunters, it only cares if you've seen an ending, not that you play through the entire game. Depending on how your game is gone, it may be possible for you to keep it safe at the start of the Lakeview Hotel sequence to play up around with various criteria inventory and the hotel to get enough credit to earn a new ending. In practice, this is only feasible with leave and in water, so I could probably go ahead and get the in water ending if I wanted, pretty easily. Maybe not, because I did look at the letters, but we'll see. If you're looking for something more elaborate, you'll need to play again in New Game Plus mode. So let me just kind of describe, let me get a description of the endings. I think this is going to be on the Silent Hill 2 wiki. Let me just go ahead and describe what these endings are that we didn't see. Let's see here. I need to actually navigate to the page. This is going to take a minute. Silent Hill 2. Plot, references, endings. Here we go. Alright. Silent Hill 2 does not have. This is from the Silent Hill 2 wiki, or Silent Hill wiki. Silent Hill 2 does not have an explicit canonical ending. A translation of blah blah blah. The four conclusions, there's no one correct interpretation. Each ending indicates a different possibility. Leave. James reaches the hotel rooftop and sees a woman whom he mistakes for his wife, yet it is not Maria, but instead of a vindictive Maria who makes a final attempt to get James to accept her. James rebuffs her, and she turns into a monster similar to the hanging monsters in the hospital, becoming the final boss. Upon her defeat, James is granted a final meeting with Mary, where he admits that he came to deeply resent her as constantly having to deal with her sickness, and her misplaced anger took over his life. Mary denies that as the reason he killed her and gives him her letter. James then leaves Silent Hill together with Laura. Keep health high, heal frequently, check the letter, do not spend time. In the Lakeview Hospital, listen to the headphones in the hallway conversation. I did do that. I remember listening to the headphones. That's a Criterion. The original probably did carry over to the remake. In water, the woman on the rooftop is Maria once again, making a final attempt to get James to accept her. James rebuffs her, however, and she turns to the final boss. However, on her defeat, James is granted a final meeting with Mary, where he admits he came to deeply resent her, blah blah blah. But Mary insists that James has suffered enough and gives him the letter. She violently coughs and dies again as James holds her hand. According to the novelization, Mary's corpse is already in the trunk of James's car. He takes out her body and arranges it in the passenger seat. James arrives at the conclusion that he's unable to live without Mary, realizing that he came to Silent Hill to commit suicide in a place of memories. James then drowns himself by driving into DeLuca Lake with his wife's corpse so they can be together in death. A view from under the lake, with bubbles rising to the surface, is seen. The ending song is blah blah blah. Keep health low, check Angela's knife, read the patient's diary, and the second message to James in the Neely's bar. Okay, listen to the headphones and hallway conversation. Maria. If the player spends a lot of time with Maria and protects her well from monsters, including from Pyramid Head in the hospital basement, the woman to the final boss will identify as Mary, who has not forgiven James for killing her. She will then turn into the final boss, and after her defeat, James returns to Rosewater Park to start the water. Maria, inexplicably resurrected again, asks James if he killed Mary again. James says that wasn't Mary, implying that he believes she was just a hallucination or manifestation. James leaves the town with Maria. As they leave, Maria starts coughing, implying she is suffering from the same illness as Mary. Keep health high. Don't bump into her frequently. Make sure she keeps up. Spend a lot of time with Maria. Protect her from monsters. Do not listen to the hallways in the hallway conversation. Okay, so now we're getting into some of the endings that were in the original. It might be in New Game Plus. Rebirth. The woman James confronts is again Maria. James immediately declares he's finished with her. Maria tries to change his mind, but he rebuffs her, and she turns into being similar to blah blah blah, becoming the final boss. After defeating her, James rows a boat with Mary's corpse to the Church of the Rebirth on Toluca Lake Island, where he tends to use relics collected throughout the game to resurrect Marie with the help of the old gods of Silent Hill. The outcome of this is unknown. On second playthrough, obtain the White Chrism in Blue Creek, which is a reference to Silent Hill 1. That is a flower that drugs were made out of. Lost Memories at Texon Glass, Obsidian Goblet and the Historical Society, and Crimson Ceremony in the Reading Room of the Lakeview Hotel. So this does feel like, yeah, that's on second playthrough. That's a New Game Plus. Probably in this New Game Plus. Dog. In the hotel, James discovers a dog who has apparently been controlling all the events of the game from a large cartoony computer console behind a locked door. In disbelief, James exclaims, "So it was all your work," in Japanese, and the dog licks him. A silly montage plays. This is obviously a joke ending. After completing the Leave, End Water, and Maria endings, or the Rebirth ending, start a new playthrough and obtain the dog key in a doghouse near Jack's End and use it on the door to the observation room, which is on the 3rd floor of the Lakeview Hotel. We actually ran into that. We actually ran into that door up there. I did not have the key for it, so that's clearly New Game Plus. I wondered a little bit about it at the time, but that's the dog ending is still here. And the UFO ending. This is another silly ending. Silent Hill, off pretty much in every game, I believe, either refers to a UFO ending or has a UFO ending. This ending is a continuation of the UFO ending in the first game, added in the re-released version, in which James is abducted by a group of aliens with help of the first game's protagonist, Harry Mason. On a second playthrough, obtain the Blue Gem and use it in 3 locations. The first location is Brookhaven Hospital Garden after the Flesh Lips boss. The second location is in front of the rowboat on the dock after the Eddie fight. The third location is in room 312 before doing the required event there. And I think that's it. Let's see here. What do we got here in New Game Plus? Going back to the IGN guide here. You unlock the New Game Plus option by clearing Silent Hill 2 Remake on any combination of difficulties. Instead of letting you start the game over in your old save file, there's a new toggle in the settings menu that appears at the start of a fresh run. You do not get to take any of your leftover resources with you into New Game Plus. James always starts on the outskirts of Aethern's South Vale with nothing on him but Mary's letter and photo. Instead, New Game Plus adds several new items, options, and secrets to the existing version of the game. On your first New Game Plus run, you receive the following. You can find the chainsaw sticking out of a log near Silent Hill Ranch at the start of the game. This is a powerful but slightly awkward melee weapon that can knock down most standard enemies with a single hit. At the time of writing, this is the only post-game bonus weapon in the remake. Many new key items can be found through Silent Hill, which are used to unlock 5 more endings that are only available in New Game Plus mode. Multiple new documents have been added to the game in several key locations, primarily in Eastern South Vale. These provide oblique hints on how to get the other endings. Look for new files in Andy's Bookstore, Big J's, Groovy Music, Peaks, Bowl Arena, and the director's office in the Otherworld Hospital, and on the picnic table near the observation deck in Eastern South Vale. The real reason to play Silent Hill 2 Remake on New Game Plus is to see its new endings. Of the 8 available in 8, and 5 of them are only available in New Game Plus, 2 which are new in the remake. All 3 of the classic New Game Plus endings have an achievement attached. Rebirth is the same as the original. 4 new key items sent all over town. They're ritual tools from Silent Hill's homegrown cult. While that cult played a much bigger role in the first Silent Hill, there's enough information about Silent Hill 2 to give James certain ideas. You get a document that will tell you where to find those if you don't know, if you look around. The UFO ending. If you have all 4 of these items and the final boss, if you have all 4 of these, I'm going back to the Rebirth. If you have all 4 of the key items, when you defeat the final boss, you always get the Rebirth ending regardless of anything else you've done on that run. Unlike the other New Game Plus, Rebirth also dramatically changes the dialogue between James and Mary Maria on the run-up to the fight with her. Interesting. New Game Plus, there is a magazine and groovy music that suggests there's an alien device in a store in Silent Hill. Since there isn't any really accessible stores on the map after you leave Eastern South Vale, that's where you should start your search. Go to the jewelry store, break the front window, you'll find the blue gem, and you use it in the various locations, and you will get the UFO ending. In fact, you will get this fairly quickly, because this shaves 2 entire boss fights and the entire Otherworld Hotel sequence off your run. The UFO ending is a great option if you're speedrunning. The dog ending, one of the most famous joke endings in video game history, is returned. There's no reason you'd have noticed, but there's a store called the Pet Center next to Big J's. On your first run, the security shutter is down, which prevents you from going inside. The shutter disappears. You can, on New Game Plus, you can now enter the Pet Center. You'll find a broken key part and a hint to the rest of the key. Continue with the game until you reach the Lakeview Hotel. You can use the dog key to open the observation room. This will end your game on the spot and unlocks the trophy achievement, The Goodest Boy. Since this also shaves the 2 entire boss fights and the entire Otherworld Hotel sequence off your run, the dog ending is the best option if you're speedrunning for the Faster Than Fog trophy achievement. Bliss, of the first of 2 endings that are new in the remake, this draws upon some relatively obscure lore from the original Silent Hill. You're looking when you go to Pizza Bolorama this time, you'll find a new safe. You'll find a code that's 1887. Continue with the game until you reach Brookhaven. Enter the gazebo. You'll find a small chest. Combine the rusty key with the small chest to receive a bottle of White Claudia. This is a native plant to the region that has hallucinogenic properties. There's a subplot in the original Silent Hill about a local street drug called PTV that was made from White Claudia. Continue as usual until you reach the room 312 in the Lakeview Hotel. On entry, use the White Claudia, then use the videotape on the VCR. This immediately ends the game. You get high and watch Netflix. Stillness. The second new ending in the remake is effectively an extension of Endwater and requires you to clear the game with that ending. If you got credit for watching Endwater, at the results screen, start a new run on New Game Plus. Make sure to get the chainsaw. After you get the auto parts shop, continue to run to town until you pass through a chain link gate. At this point, you can hang a sharp left and smash the windows on the parked car nearby to find the key of sorrow. If you don't have the chainsaw, you won't have anything to break these windows and can't grab the key. If you've never cleared Silent Hill 2 Remake with the in-water ending, the key won't be there. At this point, you'll need to keep your eyes for a few new documents that are found in New Game Plus. These provide 2 or 3 clues for a 3-digit passcode you'll need later in the game. There's an odd complaint about Lane 3 in the office at the Bolorama. The side note at Director's office, there's a note on the table about a successful cardiectomy, which is very cool and normal for a mental hospital. The number 1 is written on it. We have yet to find the 3rd document, but since we have the first 2, we just brute force this one. Continue as usual until you reach the manager's office in the Otherworld Hotel right before your final confrontation with Pyramid Head. There's a new safe here in the corner on your left as you enter. Use the Key of Sorrow and passcode to take the Toluca postcard. You'll fight the 2 bosses as if you earned in water. If you've got the postcard, you'll receive the Stillness ending. If you have both the Toluca postcard and the 4 key items required for rebirth, when you enter the final boss area, you'll get rebirth. If you're shooting for Stillness, don't take the Book of Lost Memories from the Lost and Found room at the Lakeview Hotel. Silent Hill 2 Remake may initially look like it'll be difficult to get 100% completion since it involves clearing the game at least 6 times with different endings. However, all of the endings that are exclusive to New Game Plus require you to perform an optional task somewhere at the Lakeview Hotel. If you've done everything you need to do before reaching the hotel, you can keep a save file in the hotel lobby and simply replay the hotel sequence several times in a row. And that gives a checklist of what you would do. Which I may do over... I may set that up and I may do that during Christmas vacation since I'll be on break and probably streaming more than usual. Anyways, that is it for Silent Hill 2. The next thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to finish before we go back to normal, and hopefully over the next week, or at least close to the next week. Let me look at my schedule. Close to the next week after that, the latest, I'm going to finish Luigi's Mansion 2. Or Luigi's Mansion 2. After that, I may actually, since Desert Bus is going on all this week and people are going to be kind of watching that off and on, I may just do some random games next week and do Luigi's Mansion the week after that before I go on vacation. At that point in December, we're going to be working on finishing some games that I've got outstanding, and then at the end of December, beginning of January, I've got 2.5 weeks off. We're going to be doing live streaming there. That's it for tonight. Thank you guys for hanging out. I will see you Sunday, and we'll kind of get an idea of what I want to do then. Good night.